All right, we should be good. My connection's what it usually is. I am now on the encoder that I actually intended to use. So fingers crossed. If it happens again, I don't think it's anything on my end. Morning coffee in the evening. Yeah, actually, that was the morning coffee is sitting there from a previous stream I had set up. It's well beyond morning now. We're headed rapidly towards lunch. I'm gonna go nice and slow today. Nice and easy. Just want to practice treating digital like pencil, so I'm going to try to go very slow. Very intentionally going slower than I am habitually accustomed to when working digital. Nice and easy, taking it easy. All right, I think we're good. I'm seeing 0 drop frames here. So let me say hello to everybody again, since it looks like we're not gonna have to dump out of this stream. Dino Blaster's here. Dino Blaster! Dino Blaster! I know I already did that, but it's like I have to commit it to the record, right? It needs to be committed to the record. Warrington, Drink Woder. Der Ink Woder. Der Ink Woder. Adu, Devin the Creative, who says, what's good? Tidal Vetti, Aki, Jordan Foster, Arashi Matthias. Did I get Adu already? Adu. Pedro Assisi, Colin Gallagher, Library. Emma Blomskog. Hey, Emma, how you doing? Aki says, I haven't been able to draw in so long because of uni. Maybe it's a good sign to take a break and draw. Take that break. But not too big of a break. Well, maybe as big of a break as you want. Yeah, you do your thing. Hey, BTT. Hi, Stephanie. Hello, Zero Connection. I gotta pull up a... Let me just open up another tab here. Type rooster. Just look at a random Google image, have some random Google Images photos of rooster. Rooster's up in the corner, so I can just get inspired, see their various strange arrangements, their odd bodies. Oh, their odd bodies. How odd their bodies, the body of the humble rooster. The body of the humble rooster. Shady on fire, what's up? Steven the Rooster Boy. Steven the Rooster Boy. Cluck, cluck. Cluck, cluck, baby. Cluck, cluck, baby. Tato Vetti says, did you have a coaching program? I was in Steve Houston one last year and thinking about something like that for this year too. No, I don't have anything open right now. I do workshops, and I will probably do another workshop this year, but it'll probably be middle to end of the year. Probably not at the beginning of the year. I do have my course Form from Imagination that you can sign up for at any time, but that one's not, it's not coaching. It's specifically on the topic of inventing form. I guess coaching is becoming more and more common of a word for these kinds of things, huh? I hear that word cropping up more and more in these contexts. People seem to be moving away from using the word mentorship for these kinds of things and calling it coaching instead. And I guess that makes sense. That leaves kind of room for, mentorship explicitly, I think, has a different connotation, right? Like the traditional sense of mentorship is more about a really long, ongoing relationship. At least that's how I think of it. Aki says, I feel my soul beginning to rot. Yeah. It hurts when you feel like, well, I know for Aki's, the drawing practice is well ingrained, so it's like, you don't get to draw for a long time. It starts to hurt the soul immediately. It's a running joke in my life, I'll fall unconscious and I'll wake up, some random Wednesday, sort of snap mindfully into existence and be like, I've been depressed for days. What is it? And then I lie to myself. I'm like, it's about this, I'm behind schedule on that. Oh, I got this thing coming up. So and then, I'll lie to myself for a couple days being like, oh, I'm sad about these other things. And then I'll sit and draw and suddenly none of that stuff matters and I'm not depressed anymore. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That's right. It's just because I hadn't drawn. When will I learn? And when I say drawn there, in that context, it's like gone deep into one of my own drawings. Because on most days, I kind of have to draw, like days where I don't draw anything are pretty rare now. I at least have to give feedback or something like that. Or, if I'm working on a course or something like that, like I'm laying out diagrams and just doing a bunch of creative work. But it's like, that is different than making the time to sort of disappear into your own art for an hour or two. Animals are a lot of fun to draw, says Matthias. Once you start looking at it for a long time, it starts to become like an alien with their weird designs. Oh, they're awesome. I love animals. They are so strange and, they're really a wonderful reminder that it's like their anatomy and their configuration is as, let's say, sort of a given or as commonplace as the human physiological arrangement. We just don't think of it that way. We think a caiman looks crazy, but from one caiman to another, they're just like, yeah, that's what a human being looks like, So I always love thinking about that when I look at animals. It's just like any given biological arrangement is like just normal. I think I heard Alan Watts reduce it down once to, he's always got these great pithy phrases. I hate to misquote him when I'm trying to quote a pithy phrase, but it was something like, every being feels like a human being. That really stuck with me when I heard that. It's like we think centipedes are gross, or at least I think centipedes are gross. But a centipede just thinks like, yeah, of course I have 100 legs. Why wouldn't I? And it looks at the girl centipede and it's like, oh my God. Leg mommy. The boy centipede in this case is a degenerate, of course. A degenerate, brain rot, young centipede. Stephen, I'm actually quite curious about your early years in art in general. Do you mind sharing a bit about how you started and handled things along the way? That's from Fantopedia. I've been doing art for my whole life, especially drawing. And I don't remember a time where I didn't draw. If you believe my sister's telling of it, I started when she showed me how to draw a cat at like 5, and then I never stopped. And I was pretty obsessed from an early age. Like I always carried a sketchbook with me, even when I was a kid. You know, my mom and sister tell funny stories of how even very young, it's like I'd leave my sketchbook at home by accident when we left to go somewhere, and I'd insist we turn the car around so that I could get it, because what if I needed to draw? Now, mind you, that may make it sound like I was talented. I always had passion, but very little talent. I am horrible out of the box, because artists can have basically every possible arrangement of temperament. You could be very high talent, very low passion. You could be very low passion, very high talent. You could be very high passion, very high talent. I was very high passion, very low talent. And even, most of you guys, I mean, yeah, I was bad. Even by the time I was like a fully cognizant adult, like I still sucked really bad at 18, but I was loving it, and that's all that matters. I still love drawing. And mind you, by 18, around 14, I realized you could actively improve at drawing by like doing exercises. So I started like studying anatomy. I didn't really know how, but like I had one anatomy book, an explicit anatomy book, started studying those, like doing copies of like the skeleton and things like that at like 14 or something like that. And so even by 18, I'd been like actively studying for 4 years. And I was just awful, still, kids, the current wave of kids who are like, 12 are generally better than I was a lot of the time, even at 18, just people are way better in general. But I loved it, thank God I had the passion, it just kept me going through. And I've never been really big on like comparing myself to others. So even though I knew I wasn't the best, it didn't really matter to me. Whatever year it was when Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith came out, I think I was 15 at the time, something like that. I forget what year it was. That was the movie. That movie changed the course of my life, because I went to see it basically the day it opened. It was like the day or the day after. And in the credits, like the 4th credit in the credits of the movie is concept art supervisor Ryan Church. And I saw that and it just clicked. I was like, what the fuck is a concept artist? Went home, Googled it, and then I knew that's what I wanted to do for like the next decade. So then I went to design school. I went to the same school that Ryan Church went to because I couldn't think of any other way to guide my life in that direction. So I moved out to Los Angeles, learned a lot about design, worked as a designer I started working in design. I was like 20. I think I got like my first freelance jobs when I was like 20 or 21, something like that. Then at the end of school, I went into a studio, started working full time at a studio in Los Angeles. I was 22 or 23 at the time. And then I did that until about, I did a bunch of commercial work, all sorts of stuff, theme parks, print, games. I never worked on movies, which was the main, it's interesting, that's like the thing that got me into it. That was my goal for so long. I got offers to join teams to work on movies, but they came in at a time where I had some family disasters going on. So I had to say no, and then it never came up again. But yeah, I never did film. And then around 2019, something like that, I started doing YouTube. And for all sorts of reasons, and the fact that I was like connecting with people on there, I was like, I think I want to go independent. And now here I am. That's my general arc. Hi, Stephen. I think I've fallen into the low passion bracket thanks to capitalism, AI, etc. I don't have artists around me really in my daily life. Any advice? You got to find your community. You know, when I run my workshops, they're basically a trick. My workshops are, people take them thinking that it's about interacting with me or learning from me, and it's like, yeah, a little bit. Certainly, at the beginning there. But from my mind, it's really mostly a trick to get them to make art friends who know them at a great level of depth. And then that becomes the most important thing. They have these people who they can share. Given how deep things tend to get in there, you really wind up with a group of people that, even though you may only know them online, they might be some of the few people in your life you feel like you can say anything to, because at that point, you've basically said things that are like institutionalizable to them, and everything has been fine. So, yeah, you need to find your community, So it doesn't have to be through me, obviously. Just go look for an environment that will kind of be open and allow you to do that. I think that's very healthy for artists. And, I'm very happy to see that, I just got a message like this a couple of days ago, just like people who did workshop 5 years ago are still working together and joining up on projects, and they're doing daring and exciting things together. It's like, I'm always very, very happy when I see that. So you need collaborators, you need friends, you need your people, and I'm going to be honest with you that if you think that's not you, it's like, maybe 1 in a million people really is meant to live on a mountain on their own, but you're probably not that. You're probably just lying to yourself due to past trauma, unfortunately. If you resolved your trauma a bit, you'd probably realize that you can actually have good relationships with people. And you need them. You do need them. And that ain't coming from an extrovert. Don't worry. I'm just extrovert curious. I heard someone call it what, an ambivert recently, something like that. But I'm not even an ambi. I know I'm an introvert at heart. But yeah, that advice is not coming from some extrovert who's like, well, people are great. It's like, I get it. I get it. Hold on a second. I hear noises coming out of this radiator, and this radiator is supposed to be off. Give me a second. I don't know why that thing's making noise. It's also hot in here. Give me a second. I'm gonna open some windows. Hey, Popper. Well, good luck. Well, good luck, babe. New York. Kyo, what's up, Kyo? Kyo says, oh my goodness, you're live. This has boosted my morale and already peeled away some of the crusty patina that is already built up today. Get rid of that patina. Get rid of it. Hello, Gabuda. Steven villain arc possible, says Lack Aslam. It's already begun. Wes says, since this is an Elden Ring channel, is it worth just playing Elden Ring then buying Erd Tree later, or do I start with DLC for the whole experience? It's definitely worth it to, well, I don't know if there's like any deals or something like that. There might be package deals that you're missing out on, but aside from maybe there being a bundle savings, I think it's totally worth it to just play Elden Ring on its own. I mean, it was already an insanely huge and satisfying game, just the base version, so. I mean, it didn't really need a DLC. I mean, people who are fans of Soul games knew that it was likely it'd get one, just because they do them. They always do them, but it didn't really need one. I need like a close-up picture of a chicken for a second. The roosted. No AI roosters, please. Give me a real rooster. The real rooster. And now, ladies and gentlemen, up on stage for the very first time, it's the real roosters. Hey, idiots. We're here to rock your fucking socks off. We are the real roosters. Just hey, idiots. Oh no. My connection's dumping out again. I hope you guys can still see me. Weirdly, I'm getting a show me red bars, but the bit rate remains high, so I don't know what the hell's going on. This is what I get for not streaming for a while. The stream gods punish. They say, how dare you? BTT says, Steven, I'm an aspiring creature designer and my peers have always tried to stop me from drawing monsters. What I love. Has this ever happened to you? Nobody really ever messes with me. I'm way too intimidating. So that's never happened to me. I would suggest getting a little more edge on you if people keep doing that. No one ever tells me what to do. If they try it, they learn their lesson quite quickly. Speaking of that, is there a way to take AI images out of your reference Google search, or is using Google the wrong tool for ref? There is a way to make Google only search things that were posted before a particular year. I forget the trick. Somebody in chat will probably know it. But you could sort of put this extension on your Google searches and tell it to only show results that were posted before, 2021 or something like that, and then you'll avoid all the AI images. But that really only works if you're searching common things. Obviously that's going to mess you up if you're trying to search for reference of a current TV show or something like that. Can I ask if you guys are getting a choppy stream or a lot of buffering or something like that? Or is YouTube just overreacting? Because I'm getting widget warnings and my bars are dropping a red, but the bit rate is really not changing all that much. So I just want to know how actually troubled it is for you guys on your end. All good, all clear on your end. Stream is good. All right, so there's some weirdness going on here. I think YouTube's just overreacting. I wish it would stop showing me all the pop-ups. It's getting very angry. All good, all good. All right, thanks for the info, guys. I appreciate that. Hello, Mel. How are you? I am good. I am good. I envy stylistic drawing so much. Realism can get boring. It's part of why I like Zapata. Thank you, Ali. Realism's got a beauty all its own. I don't know. I never really got it. Not enough on the level. Not to enough of a level to want to just do that. I've always been about sort of doing odd things from my head. Thanks, I'm gonna look that extension up. My searches are close to useless lately, and I don't mean reference searches. I use Upsplash for that. I mean general searches. Yeah, AI is currently ruining everything for everybody all the time. So hopefully it will be gone and out of our lives soon. This is such a boring era. I love all the companies too. I love all the companies thinking that we don't get how they work. It's just like every company is like, there's AI in your thing now. Hey, even though we didn't invent AI and we've never talked about it before, guess what? We're the AI experts now.
Miro, we've been working so hard to understand AI. We're the pros at it. We're gonna help you leverage AI towards your incredible success. It's like, you guys are just as desperate as everybody else. You big dumb corporations, you're just as desperate as everybody else. You're just panicking, have no idea who or what you are. Just servile, scared little kids, just like everybody else. Trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. Keep running your ads, keep running your ads. Keep contributing to this entire society that's just based on increasing desire, want more things, want more things. Let them trick you into making you think that you want a robot to do everything for you. Fall asleep, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. Wes says, do you have any wisdom on how to understand the layman, non-artist view on art? They mythologize and keep their sacred vision of art on a pedestal and demonize what doesn't fit. To a certain degree, you just can't blame them. Like, we can't really expect everyone to engage with art on the level that we do, right? It's like, think about like, imagine a plumber asking another plumber, like, can you explain the layman's vision of pipes? They don't understand pipes. I hate when I walk into, onto the job and the person's panicking and there's water pouring out of their sink. And they say, I think it's this pipe. And I have to go, you fool, please shut up. Don't even mention what pipe you think it is. You don't know how pipes work. That may sound like I'm being pejorative and dismissing your question, but I'm not, because I feel the same way as you, right? I've been doing art for a ridiculously long time. So I think about it on an elevated level, but you've got to realize that you can't expect anybody else except other artists to think about it on that level. And it does also get confusing, because when you present art to a general audience rather than to other artists, it behooves you to explain it on the level of the general audience. I personally can't stand doing that, and so I don't, and so I'm really more like an artist, like these streams and things like that. I don't expect anybody who doesn't make art to watch them, which of course limits my audience, right? Artists do best and are the most successful when people who aren't artists are interested in them and engaged with them. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they mythologize or they keep their sacred vision on a pedestal, as you said, demonize what doesn't fit. It's like, what do you want from them? What do you want from them? Don't worry about it. Let them do their thing. Art is never going to please everybody. And because it's never going to please everybody, it's going to get hurt in every way, right? I mean, built into that question might be an expectation or a desire that if they were brilliant and understood art on a very deep level, they would sort of accept these odd visions that you present to them. But you can present these very different idiosyncratic visions to highly sophisticated people, people who've been doing art their whole lives, and they could not like it. They could be like, yeah, it's weird, but fuck it sucks. So it's not really about the level of engagement of the audience. So the lay person's vision of art, from that lens, they could like or dislike any given piece of art, and from a very sophisticated lens, that person could like or dislike any piece of art. And because that's the way it is, it all cancels out. Just don't worry about it. Just do your thing and hope that it finds its audience, and try to put it in front of the audience that you think would like it. There is no hope, zero hope of making a piece of art that is universally understood and appreciated. It cannot happen. So don't worry about it. Frilled Mayfly says, ooh, my first live stream. Welcome, Frilled. Frilled Mayfly says, reminds me of how my mom wants me to make more marketable normal art. Yeah. Yeah, no. You're an artist. Expect to be misunderstood. If you expect that, you'll be A-okay. It's just the way it is, you know? Not everybody needs to make art that people want to hang in their living rooms. There's other options. You know, that ain't me. I make a lot of art, but you think any of it's hanging in anybody's living rooms? Nope. Only my sister. Only my sister has one of my pieces up in her living room. I was like, what are you gonna do? Put a chicken monster up in your living room? It's just a little odd. I don't have my art up in my living room. I shall draw something that will repulse even you, Mr. Zapata. Good. Repulse everyone. Make totally unlikable art, totally unlikable art. Make it. Let me look at this. Let me look at this chicken. Let me look at this little guy. I make that rooster a little bigger on the old screen there for these old man eyes. Oh, yeah. Ah, I see him. Nice little feathers there, buddy. I see what I'm looking at. Those legs are going to be fun to do. JG says, I make toilet bowl art. Nice, man. Really nice. I mean, it's not necessarily cutting edge, you know. Duchamp sort of already changed our history with a urinal, so you're definitely within a lineage there. But there's always new ways to subvert and upend the unexpected. You know, sort of a tired old theme like toilet bowls. You know, toilet bowls, you know, I thought toilet bowls were kind of, you know, been there, done that. They've had their moment in the sun. But, you know, not necessarily. There can always be a fresh new take on even toilet bowls. The zapper is here, says Autumn Rose. I love making art that makes the relatives go a little quiet when I show them. Yeah. That's how you know it's good. I always expected Steven to be narcissistic enough to have his art put up all over his living room walls. Sadly, I was wrong. No, that ain't me. I don't need that much reminder of my of my work. It's a bit much. Spend enough time looking at my drawings. Autumn says, having a shitty time today, so I'm beyond glad to be here. Been feeling anxiety like never before lately, causing actual pain now. Sorry to hear that, Autumn. Take care of yourself. Prioritize figuring that out. Take good care of yourself. Sometimes when we get very anxious, we want to fix it by trying to fix other things, you know, instead of just looking at the anxiety directly, giving it the time it needs. Yeah, I'm sure you guys saw the that Meta is planning on filling Facebook and Instagram with those content generating AI agents. Stupid. One step closer to the mega feed, baby. One step closer to the mega feed. And there was that Reddit post that went a little viral, that that guy who used one of the selfie AI filters, and then Meta just started unprompted giving him, I think it was Instagram, was just giving him generations of him in places and things like that. Mega feed. If you gotta ask, it's the mega feed. I saw a 404 article about that, and they asked Meta for comment, and like their only comment was, "It's not an ad." Like, yeah, well, how long until it is? But the whole platform is an ad. Like just the fact that it's on there makes it an ad. What are you barking at? Come here. Come here and give daddy a kiss. Quiet. You're okay? It's very windy here in New York. When the wind blows hard against the front of the house, it sort of rattles the front door. Freaks her out. She thinks somebody's coming in. I don't want her to blow out your eardrums. Make it go on like a blister in the sun. Make it go on. As someone soon to be in the tech sector, I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time studying and also navigating the hellhole industry pitching AI slop at every moment. God help me. Ouch. Ow. Ay, chihuahua. I know. Max Purvis says, but what if you could develop a skill for increasing the popular appeal of your art, like a volume dial that you could turn up or down? Ugh, I don't think that can be put on a dial. I think that's a deal you make with the devil, baby. Steven, I finally have a room of my own. Going to print out and put up one of your pieces on the wall. Can I do that? I'll let you do it if you sign up for the Patreon. I do also have some prints on imprint. But yeah, if you specifically want to print, check out the Patreon. I got very high-res scans of the pencil drawings on there. Says it right there on the Patreon. High-res scans for personal use. Wanting to print it out and stick it on your wall for inspiration? That's the personal use I'm talking about, baby. Make it a nice print, though, all right? Do me the honor. Make it a nice print. Make it nice. Pedro says, any tips or exercises to improve the skill to see different values in colored images? I keep changing the reference image to black and white and it feels like cheating. It's not cheating. Don't worry about that. Color always distorts the perception of value because of the Helmholtz-Kohlrausch effect. It's not something that you can you're hardwired to interpret changes in saturation as changes in brightness. So it's not something you can actually work out of you with skill. You know, it's just like part of the way our eyes and brain work. The best thing you could do is probably just squint, you know. If you squint, that makes it a little easier to deduce what's brighter and what's lighter. But beyond that, you just learn how to compensate. I got a display tablet and I wonder how you avoid having your elbow float while you draw. That puts a lot of stress on my arm. I don't know, like right now I kind of have my elbow, it rests against my side and I kind of lean my whole body to the left to make room for it. These things, this is the classic problem with display tab. We talk about this on here all the time. People want Cintiqs and stuff like that because they're cool and expensive. But for a lot of people, the ergonomics are just off, and they would be better off with they would be way better off with a screenless tablet, just because you can just kick back and have a perfectly straight back and all that. That was always my preference. I switched to a screen tablet when I went through a period where I still need to do a lot of handwritten notes on people's images. That's what made me get a screen tablet, so I could write easily. But I honestly think for most people, a non-screen tablet is more comfortable. I was very committed to that, but there was a bigger problem. I was like, I'm willing to hurt my back to not have to interface with Photoshop's text tool on a regular basis because it's so god-awful and infuriating to use. It's like I would much rather write by hand. That's what it took to make me compromise. I used to do all my professional work on a screenless tablet. I'm not really sure how I want to do this pattern. Roundburst says, hey, Steven, my dream images don't align with the techniques I enjoy doing. It feels like what I love to look at and what I love to create are at odds with each other. Any advice? Those things can be brought into alignment, but you just need to be patient with it and give it time. In the end, as you align things, you will arrive at a clear distinction between this is art I like looking at, and this is art I'm actually interested in making. And your dream images will get pushed closer and closer, closer and closer to the images that you want to make, the way that you want to work. But it takes time. It's a process. You know, if your dream images are very, very clear, if your dream images are very clear and it doesn't really budge, it's like you can find a way to, unless there's like a huge total stylistic gap, It's like you can find ways to make almost any kind of image you want that where it's fun to do it too. It's in a way that you want to work. You just need to be creative about that too. It's like you need to go through a process where you very creatively seek a way to create that union. Sorry, it's a little hard to discuss this without having like the particulars, you know, and knowing you. But people who have taken my workshop and stuff like that, we spend a lot of time talking about this stuff. Stephen, how did you learn how to render metal? I never had to learn it specifically. It's just once you learn how light works, it explains everything, you know. There's really only a few things that need to be learned about the nature of materials, and then everything else can be extrapolated from those things. Saint Moon says, hey, Stephen, watching your content for the last few months has changed the way I create, and through that, honestly, aspects of my life. Excellent. Thank you for putting out so many eye-opening videos. My pleasure. First time catching the stream live in time. Happy to have you here. And happy to have helped, truly. That's how you know things are going well in art. When it's changing your life, too. I'm very happy to hear that. Hi, Joe. Sweet, sweet Joe. Sweet, sweet, sweet Joe. Sweet, sweet Joe. Goodbye, Wes. Aki says, I will bully my friends who believe that they will get better at dream pictures by studying forever. Good, bully them. They deserve it. They deserve to get bullied. Everybody deserves to get bullied a little bit. Just a little bit. Not me, I'm done. I did the amount I needed to do. I put in my dues. No more bullying for me. Now I'm the bully. Coda says, hi, Stephen. Found you recently. Welcome. I've been obsessively no-lifing art for I've been obsessively no-lifing art for 8 years now, and most of what I currently draw are random, chaotic, fleshy forms that meld into each other, seemingly similar to you. Wonderful. So you know how fun it is. Happy to hear that.
Hello, Renola Dominguez.
Is this for fun? Are you working for something? Really like the mangled flesh part of the painting, by the way. This is for fun. This one's not for any one of my particular projects. I did this as a technique experiment in trying to do a value painting, pretending that I'm working in pencil, doing it digital, which because I'm chatting with you guys, I got distracted and I've failed to continue that. But when I did the original, the night where I did like this part, this was the first part of the drawing I did, I turned it into I did the chicken shape this morning. But what I started with here, circled in red, that was all, I hatched it in very, very slowly, very, very light. Really pulled back on the stylus. So it's just like a technique experiment with that, for that. Literally like this, like I'll show you how lightly I was doing it. So I'm gonna work on this weird muscle form here. I was doing it like this. Very light pressure, barely adding anything. Just like I would with pencil. It's hard. I like the effect, and it makes me get a little closer to the pencil-like flow, but I don't know how feasible it is to work the. I think I spent too much time delivering artwork digitally for clients, where it just created this really solid conditioning factor in my head that, like, when I'm looking at Photoshop, it's about speed. And for me to do that act that I just showed you guys, to slow way down, even though I prefer it and like it, I have to force it. And because it's fighting against that ingrained habit, and the forcing it, that kind of goes against my more overarching principles. It's just like, I don't want to sit here feeling forced for extended periods of time. So I don't know. It's like, it might be worth it, but it's like, who knows how long it would take to actually decondition. It might take years of forcing it to bring it around. And then at that point, it's really like, well, why not just work in pencil? Have you ever tried mixed 2D and 3D? Yeah, I did that. Another one where I was playing with that. Centaur 2? Centaur 1? This Centaur concept I did the other day as well. This started over a sketchbook drawing. There it is. I do this all the time. Take a picture of a little doodle in my sketchbook, and then develop it, paint over it. I have tried, my white whale has always been sort of coloring or doing mixed digital over my finished pencil drawings, but on every one that I finish, I try it. I always try it, and I try a new technique. I stick with it for a while. I do crazy stuff to them, but it never works. And I'm probably gonna keep trying just because it's always fun to experiment. But at this point, I've kind of accepted that when you push it that far, you've made a lot of decisions that are inherently appropriate for that medium, for pencil. And it's like, you're only gonna make the picture worse by doing a bunch of digital stuff to it. It's like, and it's like, unless the color is a foundational hinge of the picture, it's like, to what end? You know, the color winds up only hurting the picture instead of making it better. Ryan says, I hate sketching in digital. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But should you hate it? Should you really hate it? I like it for I like it for variations, for testing things, but once you're used to the deliciousness of traditional for, you know, like actually building up forms and stuff like that, it's very hard to like anything else. What colors would I do to these feathers? Because I should probably test that, because that'll probably change the value range that I draw them in. Nope. Kind of like a nice, looking at a real rooster on my other screen. It's kind of like a nice orange to yellow gradient. OBS just told me it disconnected. Did you guys see anything dump out? Am I still here? OBS told me it disconnected and then the drop frames reset to 0. So it seems like something actually did happen. Did you guys see anything? Did the stream disconnect for a bit there? Strange. Weird that you guys aren't seeing anything, but my setup is freaking out. It gave me like 3 alerts all of a sudden, and the drop frames actually reset. So, I don't know, man. Computers, they're haunted by ghosts. Devils live in there. It's just the way it is. Maybe a little greener here. These foul, they have these green tones. Let me see foul, like they're fouling from the sun. It's okay, baby girl. It's okay. It's just the wind. It's the wind. No, you're gonna be all right. What's the matter? You scared? What is you scared of the wind, you little girl? You're a good dog. Oh, you're a good girl. You're okay. Stephen, what would make you decide to do something like this digitally, knowing that you enjoy and prefer this sort of formy monochrome work in pencil? Pretty much why not trad in this case? You know, I don't really know anymore. I don't really know. Oh, this is probably relevant. I often forget to mention this. A lot of my digital stuff starts as doodles that I'm doing while taking breaks from doing other things. So it's like I'll be writing a script or I'll be doing feedback, and you know, I'm always breaking that up with like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'll do a sketch. You know, I'll be writing like a paragraph and I'll get stuck on a sentence, and then I just like, you know, I hit a wall there, so I'm just like, I'll just do a little doodle. So I'm not gonna grab, you know, a piece of bristle paper for that, or even open my sketchbook for that, because it's just like a tiny distraction. But I almost always have Photoshop open for one reason or the other while I'm working on things, because I need to like lay out diagrams and things like that. Or obviously for feedback, I'm doing that in Photoshop. So I'll just pop open a new document and just do a little doodle in there. And then usually I'll just X them out without saving. I'll delete them. But sometimes I get a little access drawing there. I'll get a little moment of form, and then I'll save that. And then since it sort of started digital, if I'm interested and I want to return to it, often I'll just keep going on the digital file. If there's a really strong kernel there, then sometimes I will move it to traditional. Like, there's definitely a way for me to look at this and say that this is a plan for a traditional drawing. I could just go print this at the printer right now at the size I want to do it, tile it, put it on the light box, and then move it over to a bristle paper. So, but yeah, usually what starts digital, I keep doing it digital. So let's see. I can move this into a purplish here. Nope, I'm on the wrong layer. And then I could go to a brighter red for some of these flyaway guys. I love birds. Birds are just so odd. All the colors, even mundane birds like roosters, just like are total. If you actually look at them, they're total psychedelic trips. They're just so, they have like every damn color on them. Then we could do warm ones at the end here. And then go back to this greenish for these middle feathers. Transition from purple to the cyanish in the underbelly. This guy's got some white tufts. And then very pale the feet. Pale the feet. Hard light's not giving me a good result there. I would do that on soft light, but whatever. This is just to block it in. Yeah, something like that. Would definitely need to raise the values overall. I positioned the light just for, I only drew the head when I started this, so I positioned the light just for that. So just raise the values overall. Probably just do a bounce light coming from under. Whew, it's a lot of feathers. I did like the idea of contrasting the fleshy anatomical bits with feathery. I thought that'd be a fun challenge to sort of look for the same variety and groom that I find in anatomical forms, but it's tough. I gotta do some research there. The groom, you know, the way all the different layers of feathers lay and sit on top of each other, and they have the different color groups. Crazy, crazy. I mean, look at this. Let me show you him. I mean, look at that, man. What is that even? What is that even? It's crazy. Now you're getting frame lag, now you're getting drop frames. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot right now. I don't know what's going on. Feels like every time I take a break from streaming, even though nothing has changed, I haven't changed the setup, didn't update OBS. In fact, I tried to update OBS and it got messed up immediately, so I went back to the exact same original version I was using before. Even though nothing changes, it's just like as time goes by, the things just slowly decay and change and morph in digital land. Every time. Every time. Oh yeah, I'm just completely losing my connection. I don't know. I don't know what will happen. Let's see if we can keep it going. It was behaving well for a long time. Hi, Kurdistan. Just gonna pick a mid-tone and roughly tap it in here just to force the values in these shadow areas to go lighter. Just force it. Just because I wound up liking the really more colorful pass that I was playing with that you guys saw me do. But for those colors to actually obtain to their chroma points, there needs to be a little bit more value range. It's very dark in the shadow right now. So we're just gonna lift it. I'll leave the legs out of it for now. So just very big brush. Tappa, 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 tappa. This brush should also leave a little texture behind in those areas, which is nice. That's good. The nice thing is that usually if you do this very slowly and you do it over a very dark shadow base, it'll still feel like the shadow. You know, the separation will still be there. There being that very dark system under there does show through. Now if I use those same, if I turn that color layer on again, it should look like crap. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look that bad. I can see how it'll work. But yeah, you see how now those colors are sort of reaching their hue, obtaining to their hue a little bit more easily. We got to reverse the light system here to keep it still feeling like shadow. That is a nice picture, Stephen. Thank you, Soko. Kyo says, Stephen, question. I feel like I'm drawing freely and exploring new things, but with the underlying motive to gain something. Is having awareness of the fact that I could gain from this misleading? You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to gain things from your art, even if it's something sort of very, very elevated, like growth, or if it's something more mundane like money, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with any of those things. The problem is, I always put it as, it's the difference between reacting and overreacting, you know? It's overreacting to those things that is a problem. It's just natural that those motivations and incentives are going to be there, you know? Everything that we do is because there's an incentive, is because there's some reason pushing us towards it. So I think that that's kind of unavoidable. And the question is just how much are they driving you, right? And are they driving you to do things that you know, if you pause for a second to think about it, you know deep down are unwise, right? If you're doing things that you know are unwise because of those motivators, yes, that's a problem. It is misleading. And we usually know, right? And we repress it, but we know when we're repressing it. Especially money. Money's the most, one of the most invidious ones, which is not just if money's on the table, but also just the fear of like, I need to draw the kinds of things that would make me money, right? Like if you're overreacting to that, yeah, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot. But just a reaction to that, just light inclination, just wanting your work to connect with people and sort of be salable or to have a salable value to it, that on its own is not inherently a problem, I don't think. It's the overreaction. It's the letting it dominate. Like, how finicky do I want to get exactly? This is highly experimental. I'm trying to figure out how I can get the same form language feeling that I'm used to doing with anatomy. It's like, how can I get that with feathers? It's a worthy pursuit, you know? If anytime you can crack a nut like that, then you only have to crack it once and then you've got it, you know? And then you can just like do it in your sketchbook for fun and things like that, and you just got that little thing in the toolkit. It's like, oh, things are getting a little mundane on this design. Maybe I can throw in some feathers real quick. That'll break it up. So it usually takes a while to crack something like that, a design language like that. It's rarely on one drawing. You usually need to give it a few attempts, but once you crack it once, you're good. May says, Stephen, question. How can one go forward with their art while having past experiences of burnout, losing the spark when you finally feel at ease, at joy with your art, but I still want to move forward? I think we're, in the current age of art and like the current culture, we have a lot of bad assumptions. It's just like an assumption that's not coming from you. You're just getting it from like YouTubers and things that you've read about other artists and things like that. Most commonly, that's what's going on. There's this assumption that a lot of us have arrived at that we're just supposed to be able to make art all the time. And that makes no sense. And there's nothing in the rule book that says you need to be able to make art all the time. And you should ask yourself, realistically, why am I asking that from myself? It may be impossible to just continue making art. It may just be impossible to just consistently do it all the time. You might need to accept that if you're gonna keep doing it, you're going to cycle in and cycle out, cycle in and cycle out, cycle in and cycle out. And if you accept that, then those cycle outs won't look like burnout anymore, right? They're burnout from the perspective of there's this thing you're supposed to be able to do, and you are pushing against it with your will, right? And that you're supposed to be able to will through it. And it's like, that's what creates it. That's what invents burnout and the idea that you're burnt out. And this is a big ask because we're all basically driven by our cultural conditioning, right? I mean, go there with me, man. Just like really think about it. If you just reframed, not just conceptually, but in your guts, right? This isn't just about hypnotizing yourself into believing something, but like truly believing something. When you really believe something, it changes the way you think and feel about things. It changes your intuitions. If you really changed your intuitions and thought of your practice as like there's a joyful, beautiful period that lasts a few months, and then it cycles out, and I just do other shit for a month. I dance, I read books, I hang out with my friends, I go to museums, I focus more on my day job or my family. You know, the time that I spent doing art, I spend that time just visiting family members or something like that. And then one day, after I spend a month doing that, art will just joyfully return. And it returns on its own. If you really had re-understood it in that way, would you conceptualize those cycle out periods as burnout? I really don't think so. I really don't think so. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and I think it's disingenuous for most people to pretend that I can present some schedule that is going to be like, all right, if you do A, B, C, D, then you will be able to make art all the time. It's like, why? What are the odds that you're that person? Why do you need to be that person? We don't all have to be Kim Jong-gi or Dave Raposa or something like this, like these people who just, they have found a way to just, it never stops, hyper consistent for decades, right? It's just, why? Why do we all have to be the same? Why do we all have to be the same? We don't have to. Again, if it's your job, that's different, right? If it's your job, then yeah, you've lashed yourself to a stone and you better figure it out. But if it's not your job, I really think the first thing you need to do is ask yourself very seriously, why am I torturing myself? Why? Why am I torturing myself? I know that may not be the satisfying, straightforward answer you might have been hoping for, but I think that's what the real question that needs to be asked. I see Ahmed in the chat. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Ahmed says, we were Steven Zapata once. It was fun. Now we witness. What a trip. We were. There was love for a time. I think I missed another question. That was May's. Maybe not. Hey, Ryan. Ryan says, hey, Steve, DM'd you yesterday about our chat. Also love these textures. Thank you, Ryan. I think you would have DM'd me on Instagram, if I remember that's where we chatted. I will see it soon. I have had Instagram off my phone for a bit here, but I will put it back on and I will look at it when I reinstall Instagram, and we will talk soon. I thought I saw another question. I think I lost it. Oh yeah, there it is. Wes said, question, does making a 2D game count much towards the Dream Picture project-based learning? Because you do a lot more coding than art. I mean, it's just, you know, what's your dream thing? You know, maybe if games are your dream, then that's it, you know? If you're real, you know, it's not that you have to have one focused dream, but it's really about what you want, right? Let's for sake of clarity, let's look at it through the one focused dream paradigm. But it's like, if your one focused dream was to make games, then don't even make any pictures that aren't for games, you know, just do your dream games. And all this, whenever we discuss stuff like that, like something like just what's underlying what you wrote, Wes, like, question, does making a 2D game count much towards the dream picture? What does that mean, count much? Count much towards? It's like, these are metaphors and analogies that we use to frame something and structure something that is utterly structureless. There is no counting towards anything in art. You know, you're not clocking in at work. You're not, you know, you're not in some goddamn fucking project management back of house where you need to have your app open for a certain amount of time and then it checks a green box and then your boss can say, oh yeah, they looked at that app for a certain amount of time. That's not what art is. There's no counting towards stuff. It's just analogizing, metaphors, you know, that's it. You know, don't think of it as, was this thing that I'm doing counting towards the right thing? Am I doing it right? Just do whatever you want. Just give yourself ultimate permission to do whatever you really want to do and never ask anyone for any approval or permission ever again. That's what art is really about. looking at those feathers, man. God damn it, Photoshop text tool. Longv says, Steven, I just bought a bunch of old acrylic markers. Bought a bunch of acrylic markers colored traditionally. Do you have any tips or people I can go to for advice? I do drawing quite naturalistic and want to keep it that way. Acrylic markers. I'm unfortunately not that familiar with acrylic markers, so I'm sorry. I don't have anybody in particular to send you to. Maybe people in the chat know people who are good with acrylic markers. Would that be like paint markers? So more like graffiti stuff? I really have no like, I know graffiti and street art are like a big influence and part of the art community, but that's something I have like literally zero. That part's a blind spot for me. I have no familiarity with that. I can't name a graffiti artist. Not one. Just not into street art, really. I like my art on walls. I gotta move the car, says my watch. I think you can compare them to gouache, but in pen form. I'm not familiar with them. You like David Cho? I know he doesn't do street art so much anymore, though. I was about to say no, I don't like David Cho, but I just really don't know anything about him. I've seen his art a couple times before, but it's not for me. It ain't for me. But, you know, I think he's famous and successful enough without my fandom. I think he's doing all right. Art Apprentice says, hello, Steven. When should I start learning animation, and where is a beginner doing mostly pencil sketching? Do I get drawing down first or try both at once? Do both at once. If your goal is really to animate, then I would recommend practicing animation right from the beginning. And a lot of people are going to want to chime in and say like, no, don't even bother. It's no good. You need to be able to rotate a cube and blah, blah, blah for perspective first. Let me just give you a little hint. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't. And it's a good rule to keep in your mind that no one has any idea what they're talking about. When it comes to your art, they have no idea what they're talking about. Do what you're interested in. And don't put it off. There's good street artists on YouTube. I'm sure there is. Autumn Rose says, no, because chat and Steven, I literally have daydreams about projecting my art on big screens and people just automatically understand my entire being. And now I'm a cool person. Now I can have real friends. You know, there's a wholesome part of that fantasy, which is the desire to be understood. That is inherently wholesome, I think. The part of that is, you know, sort of seeking to be understood because, or maybe less the understood part, but like the part that's like associated with virtuosity or like, what am I trying to say? It's like, if the art is great and they think it's great, then they will understand me and they'll think I'm great because the art is great. That's not wholesome, and it's not wholesome because it'll never happen. they're not gonna, I mean, you could be amazing. And, you know, you'll show your work, people will be like, that's nice. You know, people don't, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And they certainly don't care enough to justify your existence off of it. You know, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna happen. Sorry to tell you. I'm not sure you know, even if it was on the table, would you want it, you know? It's like, oh, you accept me because the art's great? Like, it's kind of really making your life very sort of transactional, no? Crushing dreams here. That's what we do on this channel. We just crush dreams. I'm gonna cut off some of these flyaway feathers that I indicated here. So let myself get a nice bit of very dark occlusion, smooth out this wing. And I can let some of those bits of these feathers go darker, but then by contrast with the dark occlusion down here, they'll still feel very light. It's just starting to compete with some of the stuff up there. Crushing dreams. Autumn says, bro, I'd be fighting demons and the demons be myself. That is the only option. Turns out there was never another option. Turns out there is no way to have external demons. Internal ones are the only option. Get a little inverse cast shadow coming from this flyaway. That could be cool. Gotta be way softer than that. Just like a bit of occlusion than a cast shadow. You know, reflected light is always coming from a large light source, so all reflected light effects kind of need to be softer. That is a rule that is meant to be broken, of course. It's just a rule I like. This thing is fun to draw. I'm glad I decided to keep going on this one. Woo, that wind is picking up something fierce. Probably gonna have to go recover my garbage can from down the street when I'm off stream. Much love to my California folks. With all that crazy wind over there spreading those fires around. I was just texting old LA peeps this morning. Seeing, yo, you on fire, dog? They weren't. They weren't on fire. They were safe. Stay safe out there, fam. Orange Fruit says, hey, Steven, I was about to make an art materials purchase, which reminded me to ask, do you plan on doing more of those dream picture workshops this year? Maybe for a month, so it could be more affordable. I do think I will do another one this year, but I don't know when yet. And will I do a month? Okay, I wish I could make promises, but I really, I got a lot of other things on my plate. I haven't, thought much about next workshop yet, but that's definitely possible because doing it 8 weeks like the last one was an experiment, one that I think was successful. There was a lot of things I liked about that, but before this last one, workshops were always 1 month, 4 weeks. So it is of course likely that that will happen again. I see that there's different benefits to each. You know, I see how it, you know, the longer one would work better for some people and the shorter one would work better for others. I'm sorry, I wish I had a definitive answer for you, but stay tuned to streams when as I think about it more, or if I decide when I'm going to do another one, I'll be sure to talk about it. Let me go back up here. A lot of talk about acrylic markers. Art Apprentice says, thank you. I loved your Stevens Across the Universe intro that used to pop up. I'm glad. I need to find some time to keep that going. Because I got all of Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1 planned out. I got it all planned out. Sculpture talk. Shady on Fire says, Steven, love your streams. Had a blast cooking along, dude. When's the next stream? It'll be very soon. I'm trying to get them going regular again. Because now I'm just I'm working on a bunch of sorry, I just remember, in the middle of that sentence, I remembered something that I have to do. And I was compartmentalizing it like, shit, I forgot to do. What was I saying? I'm in a period where I really need to work on my design course. You know, the end of last year was really dominated by workshop. That's always like, when I'm running a workshop, always the workshop takes up the vast majority of my time and my mental bandwidth, just because, you know, it's very important. You know, you're dealing with people's live practices. So while I was doing the workshop, I was also clearing a bunch of other things I need to do sort of off my plate. So now, at least in the current period I'm in, it's very course focused on the design course. And I don't know, things might have to change with that and things like that, but that's my main focus. And I don't have a lot of, besides my regular ongoing projects, I don't have odds and ends open on the to-do list. So trying to get streaming back regular. It may just be like this. It might be that, oh, there goes stream again. It's trying to tell me to come off. It's trying to tell me to get off. But yeah, it might just go to, you know, maybe I'll just stream in the mornings and then just spend the rest of the day doing coursework. So we'll see. We'll see what winds up being regular. All that to say, soon. I'm getting problems again. Again, stream problems. I'm actually gonna, we've been going for about 2 hours here, and I'm getting quite hungry. So I think I'm gonna end it here and go get some lunch, go move my car, and then get to working on other things. The progress on the chicken today is very satisfactory for me today. I like where the chicken is going. His name is Scooby, by the way. That's what the file name is because that's his name. That's Scooby. But yeah, I don't have a... I think when I started today, it was cropped in tight like this. Less than that. I think I had like that. I think that was the original crop. I didn't really know what was under his neck, and I kind of like the weird direction that it's gone. And sort of the basic layout of the values that we found here. We'll see about these colors. We'll see about that. They need to be very aligned with clear groupings of the feathers if I wind up doing these colors. You know, each of the hue changes needs to align with a sort of a noticeable value structure and shape change of the feather group. All right, let us end it there. I'm very pleased with our progress today. Thanks everybody for being here. YouTube's really trying to kick me off. It is mad. It says, your stream is unstable. We're not receiving enough bits. Thank you, Project Angryman. Will there be a Nightshade Part 2 this year? I loved it. Oh, that might be fun. That might be fun. Aki says, no, Steven, don't leave us. I'm sorry. I'm so hungry. I'm just so hungry. I gotta go eat my sandwich. And I gotta move my car before someone takes the spot in front of my apartment. But I'll be back soon. Ayub says, since working in the industry is reliant on being good and fast, do you believe that it's possible to work faster and deliver good quality art without having years of experience in the industry? Working in the industry is really not reliant on speed. It's also, well, it is reliant on being good. I mean, you can't suck, right? But you're probably thinking you need to be better than you actually need to be to work in the industry. Art careers come down to one thing: consistency. It's just about consistency. And being consistent is very difficult for artists. So just it being consistency does account for how difficult it is to have an art career, because being consistent is very hard for artists. You can be quite mediocre and hyper consistent and have a great career. And you can, of course, be great and be consistent and have an amazing career. But you can also be great and be inconsistent and you'll have no career. It'll be very difficult to keep on going. Yeah, it really is just about consistency. You can be slow, but if your slowness consistently produces world-class designs and high-quality art, you'll have a good career. It's like that people aren't crazy. You know, you're going to have to get yourself into a particular market, right? But as long as it's art directors making the decision and an art director knows what they're getting themselves into, which is based on consistency, right? There's going to be plenty of art directors who are totally willing to say, this guy is slow, but if you hire him, he's going to give you a date that's far away, and on that date, you'll get an amazing picture. And there's going to be art directors who want that and are willing to do that. And it won't work for every project, but on a project where they have good runway and they're able to plan, they're going to be like, fuck yeah. Yeah, all right, well, we know it's going to be, so let's contact Ayub 6 months ahead, and in 6 months we'll have one of the best paintings ever. Like, people aren't crazy. People will go for that, but it requires consistency. It requires great consistency. Yeah, and again, people think like, you know, the scarcity of art careers and stuff like that, you know, it requires like, oh, you got to be good and a genius at marketing and all this stuff. And it's like, if you're not good, that accounts for how hard it is to be. No. You can account for the difficulty of maintaining an art career just off the fact that you need to be consistent. Artists struggle to be consistent. I struggle to be consistent, you know, and the artists who are just naturally temperamentally very consistent, they seem to have the easiest time, easier than everybody else. Stephen, what do you think is the most important thing in art for artists to have? Joy, freedom of being oneself as we are? What do you think it is, or what is it for you? I think it's joy. I mean, I think if you really are joyful while you're working and you nurture that and you keep that strong, you'll be fine. I think basically everything else will be accessible to you. And the main thing I just want to say there is that it can be nurtured. You know, it's not something that is totally accidental or anything like that. You can incline yourself more and more to feel joy during the practice. That can be done. You can develop it. It can increase from where it is today. All right, everybody. Time for me to go eat. Thank you for being here. Goodbye to May. Goodbye to Two Mold Middle Finger. Goodbye to RJ. Goodbye to Suplex Mess. Goodbye to Frilled Mayfly. Goodbye to Jay Chong. Goodbye to Matej Koyar, Waryong, Ali Z, Project Angerman, May, Zero Connection, Wes, and that's got to be everybody. Daryl Grant, Autumn Rose, Ayub, everybody. Orange Fruit 9711. Goodbye, everybody. Kyokusei. Goodbye, Kyokusei. IENU. Goodbye. Goodbye. Hey, Steven, I hope you know I'm gathering my power and will eventually fight an epic battle with you atop a crumbling tower for the fate of the art world. Nice try, kid. I'd love to see it happen, but I have to admit, I don't think you have it in you. I've seen what you do. Some of it is admirable, but to compete with me? Impossible. If you took what you were saying seriously, you wouldn't want to do it. You have no idea what you'll need to sacrifice, the choices that you'll need to make, the people you'll have to hurt. Take it from me. Don't even try. But if you insist, know that when we meet on that mountaintop, I will show